Okay, so this is a story, and it's a wild one. It's about two companies, two huge choices, and two destinies that couldn't be more different. It's really a masterclass in strategy, showing you how thinking in decades, not just quarters, can build a monopoly that no one can touch.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple question. In the absolutely brutal, high-stakes game of semiconductors, how you answer this determines everything. Are you going to be a king, or are you going to be a cautionary tale?
So you've heard of Moore's Law, right? It's basically the engine that's powered our entire digital world for decades. Well, to keep it going, the industry needed, they needed a miracle. They had to figure out this technology called EUV lithography, and almost every expert out there thought it was just physically impossible.
And when I say impossible, I mean it. To create the special kind of light they needed, you have to get violent. Picture this, a tiny, tiny droplet of molten tin gets zapped by a super powerful laser. What happens? It creates a plasma that's over 200,000 degrees Celsius. Yeah, you heard that right. That's way hotter than the surface of the sun.
Oh, but it gets crazier. That whole hotter than the sun thing, they have to do that 50,000 times every single second. And it has to be perfectly precise, all happening inside a perfect vacuum because this special light, EUV, gets absorbed by, air. The engineering challenge was so mind-bogglingly huge that most companies just threw their hands up and said, nope, not going to happen.
So, with this seemingly impossible future staring them in the face, two major players in the industry took completely different forks in the road. On one side, you had this scrappy little company from the Netherlands called ASML, and on the other, the undisputed heavyweight champion of computing, IBM.
And here's where you see the huge difference in philosophy. ASML's whole game plan was, let's master the physics for the chips of the 2040s, and we don't care if it takes decades. Meanwhile, IBM's goal was, hit the 5-year earnings per share target for Wall Street. See? They weren't even playing the same sport.
ASML's path was, it was a 40-year marathon. They literally started in a leaky shed. They put all their chips on this impossible technology and just refused to give up. They were so persistent, they actually got their own customers to invest billions just to help them get it done. And the result of that long bet? A total, complete global monopoly.
All right, let's look at how they spent their money, because this is where it gets really interesting. You had one company building the future, and the other one, they were busy cashing it out.
ASML, year after year, plowed over 14% of its revenue right back into R&D. Think about that. They were planting seeds for a forest they knew they might not even see for decades. That's long-term thinking.
And IBM? They spent an absolutely staggering $110 billion on stock buybacks. Now, that money wasn't going into new factories or groundbreaking R&D. Nope, it was used to pump up their stock price and make those short-term financial numbers look good.
Critics had a perfect name for what IBM was doing. They called it eating your seed corn. It's a simple idea, right? You get to eat today, but you're guaranteeing you'll have nothing left to plant for tomorrow. IBM was literally trading its entire future for a good quarter today. And the result of all that short-term thinking? It was a catastrophe. After years and years of being starved of investment, IBM's once world-class chip factories became a massive money pit, just bleeding billions of dollars. And get this. This is the wildest part. IBM couldn't even sell its factories. They had to pay another company, Global Foundries, $1.5 billion just to take the factories off their hands. Let that sink in. They paid a fortune to get out of the very business they helped create.
So, after all those years, after those two completely different paths, let's look at the final score.
You have ASML, the architect. They built a global monopoly, and you could argue they saved Moore's Law for all of us. Then you have IBM, the financier. They paid someone to take their industrial core away, and in the process lost their soul. So what's the big lesson here? It's pretty simple, actually. When you're playing a game that's governed by the laws of physics, you can't use fancy financial tricks to pretend you're winning. You can't fake the numbers. Real long-term investment in the hard stuff is the only way. This whole story, this clash between incredible foresight and tragic short-sightedness, this is exactly the kind of strategic lesson that really shapes the future, not just in tech, but in any business. And look, if you find stories like this fascinating, if you want to really get into the strategies behind legendary companies like ASML, there's a place where you can get the whole story. Honestly, these are the business stories that are defining our time.
If you want to learn from the architects, from the visionaries who are actually building the future, come check us out. Visit Strat Cinema on YouTube.